So guys, it is currently day 282. I hope you guys had a good day and are doing better than yesterday. But time is currently 6:01, and yes, I slept in a little bit later because last night I didn't go to bed till about like almost 11 p.m. So I still wanted to get like at least 7 hours of sleep minimum in so that my performance won't decrease throughout the day. Because there's no point to stay up late during the night working on what you want to do and to only have like very poor sleep. Why? Because the next day you're gonna wake up feeling sluggish, feeling fatigued, and you won't have any energy to do what you want to do. Therefore, today I do want to talk about why having excess fatigue will stop you from being disciplined. Why fatigue doesn't make you disciplined. But before I get into that, I am gonna get up now, clean myself, and do a little bit of work, hopefully complete one work block before I come back and speak about the topic of the day. That being said, I hope all is well, and I'll see you guys very shortly.
Currently 4:41. So this morning I have successfully sat through my first work block. It was initially a lot of resistance. I really wanted to do something else because I didn't like the feeling of being uncomfortable. But I realized that eventually if we sit through it for a long enough period of time, that feeling will become familiar. And the funny thing is, like, no matter how much you face your failures, you'll always have that feeling of doubt, of fear. And so far, it is something I haven't yet gotten over. But what I also realize is that by sitting in this discomfort, eventually your body will get used to it. You're going to condition yourself. But what I also think why this morning I had a lot of build up resistance is because I have this excess amount of mental strain. Why did I have this excess amount of mental strain? Because my freaking work hasn't even paid me a single dime for the work I had done the week prior. So this had bothered me for about 3 days now because coming to this new week, I thought I would have got paid on Monday. Well, that was a public holiday, so you know what? That's an exception. Did some research and it turns out they pay on Tuesdays. Waited on Tuesdays, nothing still. So I thought maybe my bank is delayed. So I wait till Wednesday, woke up this morning, eager to check my bank account, and I still have a fat zero. So I got really worried about this, right? I feel like I am taken advantage of. But either way, I can't come to conclude that until I actually go ask my manager. So I could have just sat here this whole morning trying to be victimized and then just be in my sorrows. Or I could just go to work tomorrow and ask my manager, like, hey man, what's up with this shit? Right? So I guess what I'm trying to say and the point I'm trying to make is that we shouldn't worry about things until we actually go find it out for ourselves. We shouldn't worry about things that we have no control and no idea about. And a lot of us get bothered about this. A lot of us gets bothered by the things we first haven't tried and second we don't have any control over. And I suggest we stop paying any attention and we stop wasting so much energy on these two factors. Alright, go find it out for yourself and then do something about it and have control over your actions so that when you do give a shit about it, at least you have done everything first to give a shit about it. You can't just sit back and complain about the uncertainty, sit back and complain about how life is unfair when you are not doing anything to make life fair. Which is why this goes into today's topic that it's never too late to start. It's never too late to make something out of your life when you feel like life at the moment is falling apart. And the reason why it is falling apart is most likely you have not seized the opportunity of a lifetime. And you feel like now is a bit too late. That now, because I missed my golden period, because I missed my youth for years, that I can't somehow make a change of myself. Because people tell you that when you're an adult, your identity has consolidated so you can't change. And you believe all these things, you believe all these opinions of other people while not going out and see it for yourself. You believe what somebody else tells you by not going out and see what you can do for yourself. And a lot of us are playing the victim. A lot of us are feeling that our life is out of the control, that somehow someone else is the controller of your life, that someone else is the driver's seat of your actions. And yeah, that may be true. If you have relinquished your control in life, then somebody else is bound to take your driver's seat and guide you around. You are essentially the slave of your own body. You are the slave of your own mind. Not because the world is unfair, not because somebody else has control over yourself, but because you don't want to have control over yourself. You don't want this responsibility of living your own life. And it's never too late to start, guys. It's never too late to take back the keys to your car. It's never too late to find who you have given the keys to. Because we all know that this is our life. And we know that if we really tried, if we tried really hard enough, if we have enough discipline, then we may just control our life. Then we may just control our destiny. But a lot of us don't want to do this. Why? Because we believe what somebody else told us. We choose to believe our family. We choose to believe our friends, our colleagues, simply because we want the approval of them. And because we are unconfident and we have no courage in ourselves to go against the status quo, to go against our closest relatives, to go against our tribe and culture and what they believe upon, because we want to be a part of something. We already lack courage in ourselves. Therefore, our self esteem is not high enough for us to challenge the beliefs and approval of others. Because the last thing we want to be is to be left alone and to be condemned and to be shown disapproval of and to be judged. And this comes down to your low self esteem. This comes down to your low confidence. Because the ones who want to have a change in themselves, the one who challenges the beliefs of others, and the ones who seize the opportunity of their life are those who have strong courage, are those who dictate their own actions and control their own life choices. They don't do it simply because somebody else told them they can't, but they do it because they believe in themselves. And that really is all it takes for you to start now. That really is all it takes for you to understand that it's never too late to begin. No matter if you're 20s, no matter if you're 40s, no matter if you're old on your dying bed about to die of whatever disease is, it is still possible to make that change today. And it doesn't have to be a drastic big change. You don't have to jump out of your comfort zone tenfold, but just make that unconscious choice, that subconscious choice to make that mental shift that I am going to start believing in myself today, that I am going to be more prudent with what other people say, and I'm going to be more cautious with what advice I choose to take. Doing that, just doing that alone, is enough to set your little foundations for your future of growth. Because when I first started out to challenge the belief of my family, the belief of my friends, the belief of society, and not to say that any of their beliefs are wrong technically, I just didn't really value their beliefs as who I want to become. I don't want to be a wage slave. I don't want to go to uni and waste 5 years and be in debt just to get a job that is uncertain and to work for somebody. I don't want to be somebody that is not significant, that who doesn't provide enough value, than to just work for your manager. I'm not saying all these beliefs are insignificant and unvalid. What I'm saying is that I don't want my life to be like that. I don't want my life to be like that, to work for somebody, to be in somebody's control, and to always resent my controller, my conqueror, or my manager, for say. Therefore, I had to develop this own belief. And I know that this belief is not unique. It's not a noble belief. Or somebody else think like me. And I am fortunate enough to find that through the World Wide Web, just like many of you guys are watching this video or watching some other videos. And I didn't start my change in my identity or belief for, say, to jump on 100 cocos a day or just to quickly go approach 10 women that I had no confidence in before. I didn't do these things because I had no self esteem. I didn't believe in myself. I was a kid, I was a teenager. 17 years old, still dealing drugs on the street, and the only form of communication I did have was when I exchanged money or when I had some confrontation. But I never really had any social experience to build connection with people, to hold a conversation with anyone. Rather, it was just give me a few dollars and I'll give you a baggie. And I was this unconfident kid who used to just sit at home, smoke pot, or do whatever drugs I had in supply to just numb myself from the reality that I am an unconfident person. Watch porn every day, play videos every day. Pretty much, I have prioritized my pleasures over anything else in life. So you can perhaps imagine a 17-year-old kid lost and thinks he's also on top of the world because of his ego in the success of his illegal businesses, in his dealings, then you understand that this kid probably didn't want to improve in life. That this kid was also perhaps an absolute loser inside of him, although externally he may be depicted as a very successful dealer. But internally he is broken. And I didn't make that identity change right away and say, you know what, I'm gonna be the next millionaire, I'm gonna be the best entrepreneur, I'm gonna be the most confident person I know. That didn't happen. But what I choose to do is to understand that I need to first control my emotions. But I have no idea what emotions were back then. I thought emotions were something totally out of my control and that whatever I feel, I have to react on it. But that was my first realization when I had control over my emotions that hold on, I don't have to be the victim of my feelings. I don't have to be the victim of the circumstances of the things that's happening to me. Rather, anything that has happened to me is in total of my control. And when I realize that I can have control over everything that happens in my life, that is when the identity shift slowly incremented over time. The first time when I meditated is when I had control over my calm and peace. And the second time when I realized that, I understood that maybe my emotions are of my own creation. And that even though sometimes I don't want to feel sad, even though sometimes I don't want to feel afraid, I can control how I choose to react. And that slowly laid the strong foundations of my new understanding of life, of how I choose to perceive life. Not because I made the big transitional shift by forcing myself to control my emotions, by forcing myself to cold call people, by forcing myself to do things that I'm uncomfortable with. Because that, let's be honest, probably won't be sustainable. But you have to understand internally that this is in your control. That no matter what happens to you in your life, although you don't want those things to happen to you, nobody wished uncertain failures to be disposed upon themselves. And nobody can control a disaster from happening to their lives. But what we can control is how we choose to react to the adversities. It's how we choose to react to our feelings despite feeling like total shit. And it is never too late to start because it is never too late to take hold of your mind. It is never too late to ask for the driver's seat back and drive your own path to your own version of success. So, don't think it's too late because it is never too late to take control of your life. That being said, I am going to go to the gym now and having an amazing back session and hopefully pull some dead ass weight from deadlifts. And when I come back, I think I will just kind of chill out a little bit towards the afternoon before I have to go pick up my sister. But that being said, I hope you guys, and I really do hope you guys have the moment of time today to really understand that I don't have to be the victim of myself anymore. That I don't have to let the circumstances and my environment define who I am. And that I can control how I choose to react. Even though the things happening to me is something that I don't wish upon anyone, but that I can control what I choose to do next. I'll see you guys in a bit. So guys, it is currently about 2:40, 2:34, and came back from training, and I gotta say though, today's session, it was alright. First back session in the strength cycle, but I did realize that my grip isn't as strong as before, so maybe that is a definitely clear sign of my fatigue building up. But either way guys, it is still way too early to assess whether I should just take a week back, because honestly guys, 3 days into this new program, it's hard to tell, right? I have to have a week's worth of training in this new program to see whether my weight has gone up in this week or in the next week than compared to this week. But either way, that is the boring stuff. What is exciting, and I am glad to mention, is that I got freaking paid for my shift last week. About time, guys. Honestly, it's about time. Wednesday is coming up. It's been delayed, but honestly, super happy about that. Like, this just takes away the mental stress, because we don't need to worry about these pointless things, right? So definitely super happy about that, because now I can buy groceries. Now I can budget, and now I can save some money to buy some equipments to help me make my life more easier. And the first thing I do want to save up for is a goddamn camera, because using this webcam, first of all, laggy as hell. Second of all, I can't really just grab it and then move around with it because it's going to disconnect. So definitely limits me to do a lot of the things I want to do. Definitely limits me to record some better content. Well, I have been lazy on that, but I think having a camera will be definitely superb, simply because I can then bring you guys around my house, which is better than just staring at this blank wall with some freaking graffiti on the walls. But either way, guys, super excited about that. Definitely a lot of things coming up in the near future. So very pumped. But most importantly, today I also have completed not my project, but I have completed a problem set I was working on for like the past week or so. And I'm proud of the achievement I had done, simply because I didn't rely on AI for my work, right? I didn't rely on ChatGPT to tell me the answers on how to write the code, but rather I choose to sit in my discomfort to find the problem, to solve the problem. And I think that is the way to build more mental brain cells, is to be stressful, is to be there with your mind thinking of a problem, and just not rely on anything else, but let yourself come up with a solution. Now, I'm not saying I didn't look for the answers, because I did. I got stuck and I had spent like, what, 4 hours on this one question. Of course, I'll look up the answer. But instead of just looking for the solution right away, be with your mind in that uncomfortable and stressful situation, because that is going to stretch your mental muscles. It is like going to the gym, just lifting very lightweight. Like, what's the point? Like, you're not going to gain any muscle, you're not stressing the muscle. So, stress your mind so that you can grow your mind. But don't stress your mind overtly, stress it, right? Don't have this chronicle amount of stress build up. But having stress, having that healthy stress, is going to let your mind get bigger, right? It's going to let your mind grow so that you can be more competent at what you do. So I guess that's why I'm so proud of this problem I solved, this problem set, simply because I choose to sit there in the discomfort of my mind. And that itself has grown my mind more than if I would just look up the answers and ask AI for help. And yes, I still have the belief that we don't have to get everything perfect for us to start anything in life. But at least be okay at it. At least know how it works. If you don't know how it works, then when AI can't help you, when you don't even know how to articulate your words to let AI guide you, then that's a problem. So I'm not saying be perfect at what you do before you start anything, whether it's coding, whether it's lifting weights, whether it's cold calling, no matter what you're doing, you simply don't have to be perfect. And I still truly believe that. But I also do believe now that we have to at least be competent, that we have to know at least the bare minimum, because that will get us started and that will give us failure. And only through failure can you learn. Only through failure can you educate yourself on what you need to improve next. So, yes, you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to know everything. Like me, I don't have to know how to write every single little nuance of code or remember every single code for me to write my project. I simply know what I want to make. I then go through my notes and take out the exact codes I might use to write the project. And if I get stuck, which I likely will, I will sit there in discomfort until I give up. Until I give up and say, you know what? I need help. I'll raise my hand, ask for help. And that is the most grateful thing I have is the internet, guys. Once you have the internet, you don't feel alone. You don't feel alone in the sense that you have people out there to help you. And that is going to be your mentor. And that is going to be your biggest asset to help you grow as an individual. And in the end, you might not become perfect still, but at least you've gone through the failure and that you become better than yesterday. And that is exactly how I know myself to be today. So, that being said, I'm gonna go pick up my sister from school now. Something definitely I don't wanna do, like, I just wanna leave her there, but it is definitely my responsibility. So, I'm gonna do that now. And when I come back, I'm gonna just have 1 hour to myself and just kind of read the new book I bought. Very exciting. Going to be new information I can absorb. It's going to be lovely, guys. That being said, I hope everything is well with you guys so far, but I'll catch up with you guys tonight.
So, guys, it is currently 8:15 and just about to finish the day off today. And I could say that today has been a yet another amazing day because I had control over myself. I had control over the choices I made, even though some choices today weren't the most productive, weren't the most brightest choices. I still had control over my own actions. And even though you may make some bad choices and you may make some good choices, as long as you make those choices consciously, then everything's all fine. Because even though you relinquish control for a little bit, if you have control to let go of control, then you're more easily to regain the control back. So yes, today I wasn't the most focused, but majoritarily speaking, I have been focused. Majoritarily speaking, as a whole, I didn't let my failures define who I was, and I didn't let the emotions of failures get to me so that I didn't go down the route of self sabotage. So, what does this mean now? It means that tonight I'll do the recall of the things I had learned today just to retain the information I had learned throughout the day so that I don't forget it as easily. And this is something I have picked up quite frequently, and although I haven't seen some great results through this technique, I do predict that I will start seeing some great results because recalling the work you had done before rejogs your memory. It refreshes your memory. It makes you think. It makes you activate your brain muscles. And that is all we need to build up those mental discipline, to build up our mental competence, is to always trigger that stress response in our brain to put ourselves in this heightened alert state temporarily, not permanently, but temporarily, so that we can strengthen our mind, so that we can be more mentally competent. Because if we don't train our mind quite frequently, then that muscle is going to get weaker, it's going to wane, and it's going to die out. And a lot of us already distract our mind with these harmful vices, with these harmful temptations. We already numb our brain with so much distractions. The internet can be our worst enemy and our biggest asset. However, a lot of us love to live the ordinary life that we devote most of our mental exertion on these temporary numbing distractions. And by doing so, we are not training our mind by avoiding our consequences and our priorities, but rather we are only delaying what the inevitable is to make life just feeling more fulfilled and to make life more worth living. So if you are trying to avoid something because you think it's too late, just know it's never too late. It is only late because you think that to step out of the ordinary life means a life of pain, a life of worry, and a life of discomfort. And the truth is, you may be right. To be extraordinary isn't an easy path, but to be extraordinary, that path is always worth more than just being plain ordinary. We have to not believe the fact and to be fooled by the reality that ordinary is the way to go. We shouldn't be influenced by such because all the great tragedies in life are a false belief that we have are created of the perception by the influence of ordinary living. So by continuing the path of least resistance, you may think life is easier. You may feel that you are free, but it is only a trap, a deceived tactic the world uses to keep people at bay, to keep people judging and viewing that people who are extraordinary are born to be such way. But a lot of us also forget that the experts, the masters, the specialty people all come from a humble beginning. They have all started as a beginner. They had all sucked at what they at first were bad at. To get great, to get exceptional means you have to start from rock bottom. So just know, even though the people you see online, the influencers, the inspirational people, they may sound and feel so far apart from where you are right now in life that you are somewhat intimidated by them, that you are somewhat threatened by them. Just know that they are there because they choose to believe in the process that an extraordinary life isn't as hard as an ordinary life. Rather, it is just about patience, it's just about courage, and it's just about persistent in doing something that you suck at. Because eventually, if you suck a lot, you're going to get good. Eventually, if you fail a lot, you're going to get better and more competent at what you do. And once that happens, you get confidence, you have the courage, and most importantly, you know for once in your life what the heck are you talking about in what you do. That being said, I hope you guys have had an amazing day, and I do hope you guys have learned something from this. But if not, like always, I'll always be here for you guys tomorrow. But until then, good night.